when we look out at the world, Samir, we look for partners. We don't look for preachers. Particularly preachers who don't practice at home what they preach abroad. And I think some of Europe is still struggling with that problem. Some of it is changing. So, the issue for us, I mean, in many ways, Europe, I think, has entered a certain zone of reality check. Now, whether they are able to step up to it or not, it's something we will have to see. But from our point of view, if we are to develop a partnership, there has to be some understanding, there has to be some sensitivity, there has to be a mutuality of interest, and there has to be a realization of how the world works. And I think these are all work in progress to differing degrees with different parts of Europe. So some have moved further, some a little bit less. And I think as a country today, we need to broaden our horizons. Think of an India, let us say population would be about 1.6, 1.7 billion. Per capita income of say $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. What would be the resource demands of that India on the world? What would be the contribution of India to that world? So even today when we look at key partners, sometimes people read us too tactically. You know, if I were to refer, for example, to a subject which has been, last few years a little controversial, India-Russia. You know, there is such an important fit, a complementarity between India and Russia as a resource provider and a resource consumer. When I look at where all Indian diplomacy, typically we would look at, a very simple sort of political metric. Today I have a different range of partners in different domains, and one very important domain is resources. So that is why a Russia, an Australia, a Brazil, an Indonesia, Africa, these are important for us. And that is why connectivity, we've been discussing, for example, President, we have a project called Chennai, the South, Vladivostok corridor. Now, this was our little bit of preparation for something which is to come, which is the Northern Sea route. So for us today, the NSR, the NWP, the Northwest Passage, the TSR, these matter because just like IMEC matters, that or the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, because the world is, we're going to, if technology changes, literally with climate change, geography is going to change. Okay, climate is going to change. Our which economies work to what extent in which areas is going to change. With all these moving parts, I think it's kind of important that there is an awareness in our country. And one of the, I think, positives I see when I look today at the number of universities, and I'm sure many people sitting here are connected to them, that I think at last count we have about 25 universities, and my number may be a bit behind, 25 universities actively connected with research or some kind of policy making on the Arctic policy. The fact that we are today producing research papers much more prolifically than in the past. So it isn't just a question of one research station, 2 observatories, 2 antennas, and a ground station out there. I think things are happening at home that is supporting a much deeper engagement with the Arctic. And I would even say to President, and I'm sure I'll make a few other people in the room happy, that is one of the drivers of our intensive engagement with the Nordics.